The galaxy was full of wonders, but nothing was more mysterious than the silent warship. It was not just a ship. It was a legend. It had been found floating near a dead star many centuries ago. Its black metal hull was covered with strange glowing marks that no scientist could understand. Weapons bigger than cities were built into its body. Shields strong enough to block suns burned around it. Everyone knew it could destroy entire planets in a single shot. But the strange thing was this: no one could control it. Kings, emperors, warlords, and billionaires all had tried. They brought armies of engineers, thousands of the smartest minds, and endless machines to study it. They offered gold, rare gems, and even whole planets to whoever could open the ship's doors. But the warship refused them all. Its gates remained sealed. Its engines stayed silent. Its lights dimmed whenever anyone tried to touch it. Some said the ship was cursed. Others believed it was alive and was simply waiting for the right master. The docks of Zorath Station became the warship's resting place. Traders and travelers from across the stars came just to look at it. Children whispered stories about the ship choosing a warrior one day. Old men told tales of the battles it once fought. And the powerful kept waiting, always hoping that one day the warship would finally answer them. But it never did. Year after year, the ship stayed silent like a sleeping beast. One night, when the docks were almost empty, a poor human janitor walked past the warship. His name was Daniel. He was not important, not rich, not strong. He was just a cleaner. Every day he swept the floors of the station, wiped the glass windows, and emptied trash from the halls. Nobody noticed him. Nobody cared. He worked quietly and went home to his small dark room. His life was simple, and sometimes even he wondered if it had any meaning. That night, Daniel had been given an extra shift. A cargo ship had left a mess of oil and ash, and he had to clean it. With a tired face, holding only a mop and a bucket, he walked through the silent docks. He didn't even look at the warship at first. To him, it was just another piece of metal, something far away from his world. He had heard the stories, yes, but he never believed he would matter to something so great. But as he swept closer, the air changed. It grew heavy, like the station itself was holding its breath. Daniel stopped. His eyes turned slowly toward the massive warship. Its black hull shimmered faintly under the pale dock lights. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt like the ship was watching him. He laughed nervously and shook his head. "I'm just tired," he whispered. "Ships don't watch people." Still, his hand shook as he lifted the mop again. The bucket slipped from his grip, and dirty water spilled across the floor. The water touched the warship's gate, and then something impossible happened. The gate glowed. At first it was faint, like a dying ember. Then the light grew brighter, burning blue and gold. Strange symbols spread across the warship's surface, moving like living fire. The sound of deep drums echoed through the station walls. Daniel stumbled back, heart pounding. His mop clattered to the ground. Alarms rang. Guards and workers ran into the dock, shouting in confusion. "What's happening?" they cried. But the answer was clear. The silent warship, after centuries of silence, was awakening. And all because of one man, Daniel the janitor. The crowd gathered quickly. Traders, soldiers, and captains pushed forward, their eyes wide with greed and hope. "The ship is opening," someone screamed. "This is it. This is the moment!" But as they rushed closer, the glowing gate pulsed once, sending out a wave of force. Everyone was thrown back except Daniel. He alone was left standing in front of the ship. The gate's surface shifted, splitting open like a mouth. A pathway of light stretched out, reaching for him. Daniel shook his head, terrified. No, this isn't for me. "I don't belong here." But the ship did not listen. The glowing path led only to him. For centuries, the warship had refused kings, emperors, and warlords. But now, in front of the whole station, it had chosen a janitor. The crowd gasped as the doors of the silent warship opened wider. The air was filled with a deep voice, like thunder in the bones. It was not in any language known to the galaxy, but somehow Daniel understood it. "Enter." Daniel froze. His legs trembled. His mind screamed to run, but his heart beat with strange courage. Everyone was watching him now. The poor cleaner, who had been ignored all his life, was standing at the center of the galaxy's greatest mystery. And the silent warship was waiting for him. The dock was in chaos, but inside Daniel's chest there was only silence. His heart pounded, but his mind felt frozen. The glowing path from the warship's gate stretched toward him like a hand reaching out. Soldiers shouted, traders screamed, and leaders fought to push forward. but none of them could come close. Every time they tried, the ship released a pulse of light, forcing them back. Only Daniel remained untouched. He wanted to run. He wanted to drop his mop and bucket and hide somewhere no one could find him. But something deep inside whispered that running was useless. The ship had chosen him and there was no escape. His feet moved without his will. Step by step he walked onto the path of light. The surface felt warm beneath his shoes, almost alive, like he was walking across the skin of a giant. Gasps filled the dock as Daniel reached the gate. "Why him?" someone shouted. "He's just a janitor." Others cursed, calling it unfair, demanding the guards stop him. But the guards themselves were afraid. Their weapons felt like toys against something this powerful. Daniel placed his trembling hand on the glowing surface. The gate opened wider with a deep hiss. A blast of cold air rushed out, smelling of ancient metal and storms. Without thinking, Daniel stepped inside. The gate sealed shut behind him, cutting off the screams and shouts outside. Darkness swallowed him. Only the faint glow of alien symbols lit the endless hall stretching before him. The walls pulsed like veins carrying light instead of blood. A low hum vibrated through the floor, through his bones, through his very heart. Daniel swallowed hard. He had no weapon, no armor, just a cleaner's uniform and shaking hands. Then the voice came. It was the same thunderous voice he had heard before, but now it spoke inside his head. "You are chosen." Daniel jumped, looking around, but there was no one, only the walls glowing softly. "Chosen?" he whispered. "No, you're wrong. I'm nobody. I just clean floors," the voice replied with calm power. "You are not nobody. You are different. You carry no greed. You seek no throne. That is why you are chosen." His throat went dry. He wanted to argue, to deny it, but deep down he knew the ship was right. He had never dreamed of power, wealth, or glory. He only wanted to survive, and maybe, just maybe, that was why this impossible ship had opened its gates for him. The floor shifted beneath him. The glowing symbols spread like rivers of light, forming a circle. He stumbled backward as the circle rose, lifting him into the air. The hall blurred, and suddenly he was standing in another chamber. This one was massive. The ceiling stretched high above, filled with floating lights like stars. In the center stood a throne made of black crystal, pulsing with power. Around it, holograms flickered. Battles fought long ago, fleets destroyed, planets burning. Daniel's knees weakened. The silent warship was showing him its history. He saw towering alien warriors, their bodies shining with silver armor, commanding the ship with voices like storms. He saw them destroy enemies who dared challenge them. He saw their empire stretch across the stars. And then he saw their end, a final battle, fire and blood, until their voices were silenced forever. The holograms faded. The voice returned. "I was made to serve. For centuries I waited. Kings and generals came, but all were poisoned by pride. They wanted to use me for conquest. I refused them, but you are different." Daniel shook his head, fear twisting his stomach. "I can't be what you want. I'm just a janitor." The voice was softer now, almost like a whisper. "You are not what you think you are. You will see." The black crystal throne lit up and the floor rumbled. Panels opened, revealing walls lined with alien weapons and controls. Daniel took a step back, but the light pulled him forward, guiding him to the throne. He resisted, shaking his head. "No, I can't sit there." "That's not for me." But the warship's will was stronger. The light wrapped around him like invisible hands and placed him gently onto the throne. At once he felt something he had never known before. The ship's power poured into him. His mind filled with stars, systems, maps of galaxies far beyond what he had ever seen. He could feel the engines deep below, the weapons waiting, the shields humming like angry beasts. The ship was alive, and now it was inside him. Daniel gasped, clutching the armrests. He felt small, tiny compared to this power, yet the ship whispered calmly, "Do not fear. We are one now." Outside on the docks, chaos turned into awe. The warship's engines glowed for the first time in centuries, shaking the entire station. Flames of light stretched out from its wings, and everyone who saw it knew. The silent warship had found its master. But inside, Daniel sat frozen on the throne, his heart torn between fear and wonder. He was no longer just a cleaner. He was something else now, something he didn't understand yet, and the galaxy would never look at him the same way again. The moment Daniel sat on the black crystal throne, the warship came alive. The humming grew louder, like a storm hidden deep inside the ship. Lights shot across the walls, racing like fire through veins of steel. Daniel gripped the armrests, his breath sharp and shallow. He felt both powerful and powerless at the same time. The warship was not just showing him stars, it was letting him feel them, as if he was floating in the middle of endless space. Then the voice returned, deep and commanding, vibrating through his bones. Power must be tested. A master is not chosen only by chance. You will face the trials. Daniel's heart skipped. Trials? What trials? I'm not ready for this. But his words were swallowed as the chamber dissolved. The throne beneath him vanished, the walls faded, and he found himself standing in a vast desert. The sun burned hot above him. Wind cut his face with grains of sand. He looked down. His janitor uniform was gone. Instead, he wore simple armor, heavy on his shoulders with a short blade at his side. What is this? He whispered, turning in circles. The voice answered, calm but unyielding. The first test, courage. Not of the body, but of the spirit. The sand shifted, and from the dunes rose monstrous shapes. Their bodies were twisted, made of shadow and smoke with glowing red eyes. They had no faces, only hunger. Their claws stretched long, dripping black fire. Daniel stumbled back, panic rising in his chest. I can't fight that. I don't know how, he cried. The voice was steady. Fight or fall. The warship does not serve the weak. The shadow creatures roared and rushed at him. Instinct took over. Daniel drew the blade at his hip and swung clumsily. The metal sparked as it struck one of the beasts, but instead of falling, the creature split into two smaller forms. His heart pounded faster. Each strike only made more of them. Daniel dropped the blade, shaking his head. No, this isn't right. I'll never win like this. And in that moment, something clicked inside him. He remembered the words, not of the body, but of the spirit. The test wasn't about fighting. It was about something else. The monsters circled closer, hissing, ready to tear him apart. Daniel squeezed his eyes shut. I'm not afraid of you, he shouted. His voice shook, but he forced the words out again. I'm not afraid. The shadows froze. Their burning eyes flickered. The more he shouted, the weaker they became. I've been poor, I've been nothing, I've been ignored my whole life, but fear has never stopped me from living. You don't scare me. The creatures screamed, their bodies unraveling like smoke in the wind. One by one, they dissolved into nothing, leaving Daniel standing alone in the desert. The voice spoke again, now softer, almost approving. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to stand in spite of it. You have passed the first test. The desert crumbled away. Daniel blinked and found himself back on the throne. Sweat dripped from his face. His hands trembled, but the blade was gone. Only the memory of fear remained. Before he could catch his breath, the chamber shifted again. This time he was standing on a bridge above a raging river. The waters roared below, carrying debris and flames. Across the bridge stood a small child crying, trapped as the bridge cracked and broke apart. The second test. Mercy. Daniel's eyes widened. The child was terrified, reaching out for help. But as he took a step forward, a new figure appeared, an armored warrior holding a massive spear. The warrior's eyes glowed like molten fire. His voice thundered. To save the child, you must face me. Do you choose mercy or do you choose safety? Daniel froze. His body screamed for him to turn back. He had no weapon, no shield, nothing but his will. But the child's cries pierced his heart. He remembered himself as a boy, hungry, weak, overlooked by the world. No one had ever reached out to save him. Could he walk away now? He shook his head. I choose mercy. He sprinted forward. The warrior raised the spear, ready to strike, but Daniel didn't stop. He ducked, rolled, and pushed himself toward the child. The spear sliced across his shoulder, pain burning like fire, but he ignored it. He grabbed the child and pulled him close, shielding him with his body. The bridge collapsed, but instead of falling, Daniel and the child were lifted by light. The warrior vanished. The river faded, and Daniel heard the voice again. Mercy, even at the cost of pain, proves the strength of your heart. You have passed the second test. The throne returned beneath him. His wound was gone, though the memory of it lingered. Daniel's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. He didn't feel like a hero. He didn't feel strong. But the warship had judged him worthy, twice. The voice rumbled one last time. There will be more trials. Greater tests await, but you have taken your first steps. Outside, the warship's glow grew brighter, shaking the entire station. Crowds screamed in terror and wonder. They could not see the trials Daniel faced inside, but they saw the ship's awakening. and they knew the galaxy was about to change forever. Daniel sat silently, sweat dripping down his face. He whispered to himself, "Why me? Why not someone else?" But deep inside, he already knew the answer. The silent warship had not chosen a king. It had not chosen a general. It had chosen him, and the tests were only beginning. Daniel sat frozen on the crystal throne, his body weak, his mind heavy with the weight of what had just happened. The trials had tested him in ways he never imagined, facing fear itself, choosing mercy when pain was certain. He had passed, but he did not feel like a victor. He felt small, like a child who had been dragged into a storm too big for him. The warship was quiet for a moment, as if it too was breathing. Then the voice spoke again, low and steady, echoing through his chest. "You begin to see, but the path is long. To carry this ship, you must awaken to who you truly are." Daniel frowned, gripping the armrests. "Who I am? I'm nobody. I sweep floors. I empty trash. I'm not a soldier, not a leader. I don't belong here." The chamber around him shifted once more, but this time it was not another test. Instead, the walls opened like curtains and the stars appeared before him. Entire galaxies glittered in the distance, vast and endless. He was not just looking at them, he could feel them. The warship's senses became his. He felt the pull of gravity wells, the hum of nearby stations, the sparks of engines far away. For the first time, Daniel saw the universe the way the ship saw it. His breath caught in his throat. This is impossible." The voice was softer now, almost like a teacher's. "The warriors before you used me for war. They dreamed of conquest and blood, but their empire burned and their pride destroyed them. I do not seek a master of armies. I seek a heart that sees beyond power." The stars faded, replaced by images from Daniel's own life. He saw himself as a boy, hungry, digging through scraps for food. He saw himself working as a janitor, ignored by those who walked past him. He saw his tired face in dirty mirrors, wondering if his life mattered at all. Daniel's chest tightened. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because," the voice answered, "you believe you are nothing, but weakness has shaped your strength. You know what it means to be unseen. You know what it means to endure. That is why you were chosen." Daniel's eyes burned, not with anger, but with something he had not felt in years. Hope. For so long he had thought his life meaningless, but the warship was telling him his struggles had given him something no king or general could ever understand. Still, doubt clawed at him. "Even if that's true, I don't know how to fight. I don't know how to lead. If enemies come, I'll fail." The chamber shifted again. This time Daniel found himself standing on the warship's bridge. Panels of glowing symbols stretched across the walls. Seats for officers surrounded him, though they were empty now. The controls lit up, waiting for his touch. "Then learn," the voice said. Before Daniel could respond, the warship hurled him into a simulation. Outside the massive view window, enemy ships appeared, sleek, sharp vessels with glowing red engines. They fired beams of energy, shaking the hull. Daniel stumbled as alarm screamed, his mind panicked. "I can't do this." "I don't know how," but the warship whispered, "Breathe, feel me. I will guide you." He placed his hands on the controls and suddenly knowledge flowed into him. Not words, not instructions, feelings. He felt which weapon to activate, which shield to raise, when to move. It was like dancing with a partner who knew every step. The enemy ships fired again, but Daniel turned the warship with a surge of thought. Beams that should have struck were absorbed by glowing shields. He reached out and the cannons answered. Bright lances of energy shot forward, destroying 2 ships in an instant. His chest heaved with disbelief. I did that?" "Yes," the voice rumbled. "Because we are one. You are not alone." More ships came, dozens of them. Daniel's fear rose, but so did something else, a strange calm. He moved with the ship, striking, dodging, protecting. Each motion was smoother than the last. When the last enemy ship exploded in a wave of light, Daniel gasped and fell to his knees. The simulation ended. Silence returned. The bridge was empty again. But Daniel knew what he had felt. Power beyond imagination, yet guided not by greed or cruelty, but by something different. He stood slowly, breathing hard. I can do this. Maybe I really can." The warship's voice was firm. "You are awakening, Daniel. Not as a king, not as a conqueror, but as the master this galaxy does not expect." Far outside, the silent warship glowed brighter than ever before. Its engines thundered, shaking Zorath Station to its core. The crowds watching from the docks fell silent, their eyes wide with fear and awe. The galaxy's rulers would soon learn the truth. The warship was not theirs to command. It had chosen. Inside, Daniel placed his hand on the glowing controls, his heart still trembling. For the first time in his life, he did not feel invisible, but the voice spoke one final warning. Be ready, Daniel. They will come for you. And the true war has not yet begun. Daniel's eyes narrowed. The janitor who once cleaned floors was gone. A new path had begun, and it would change the galaxy forever. The silent warship's awakening shook the galaxy like thunder rolling through empty skies. Its engines glowed, its shields pulsed, and its cannons hummed with ancient power. For centuries it had refused kings, emperors, and warlords, yet now it had opened itself for a man no one respected, a man who had only ever cleaned floors. Word spread faster than light. Every starport, every throne room, every council hall whispered the same shocking news. The warship has chosen a human janitor. For the rulers of the galaxy, this was not a miracle. It was an insult. On the desert world of Drakkar, a warlord slammed his fist on a table of steel. His tusks gleamed under the firelight as he roared, "A janitor? A servant? That ship belongs to warriors, not rats." His generals growled in agreement. Already they planned fleets to storm Zorath Station and seize what they believed was theirs. In the crystal palaces of the Zorathi Empire, the Empress herself leaned forward on her throne, her jeweled fingers tight on the armrests. "For decades I have offered blood and treasure to that ship," she hissed. "And now it opens for a cleaner?" Her voice dripped with venom. "No, this cannot stand. If the ship does not bow to me, then no one will have it." Across the stars, powerful leaders came to the same thought. The janitor must be removed, and the warship must be taken. Back on Zorath Station, Daniel knew none of this. He sat inside the warship's bridge, staring at the glowing panels that pulsed like living veins. His reflection in the glass looked strange to him. He was still in his janitor's uniform, but the way the ship's light touched him, it made him look like someone else, someone important. Yet inside, he still felt unsure. He whispered, "Why me? Why would a warship as great as you choose someone like me?" The voice replied, steady as always. "Because you are not blinded by hunger for power. But know this, your choice has made enemies. They come even now." Daniel frowned. "Enemies who?" The warship's panel shifted, showing him images from distant space. Fleets were gathering, dozens of ships from different worlds, all moving toward Zorath Station. Each fleet carried warriors, soldiers, and weapons forged for destruction. The rulers had wasted no time. Daniel's stomach dropped. "They're coming for me." The warship corrected him. "They are coming for us. They believe they can take me by force. They are wrong. But the choice will be yours." Daniel leaned back, running a hand through his hair. He was no king, no soldier. How could he stand against the most powerful leaders in the galaxy? His hands trembled, but deep inside a spark flickered. He remembered the trials, the shadows of fear, the pain of mercy. He had survived them. Could he survive this too? The first fleet arrived only days later. Dozens of warships hovered outside the station, their weapons locked on the silent warship. The air buzzed with tension. Traders and travelers abandoned the station, afraid to be caught in what was about to unfold. Inside the docks, a crowd had gathered, whispering and pointing at Daniel. To some, he was a hero. To others, a fool. "He doesn't deserve it," a merchant spat. "A janitor in control of the galaxy's greatest weapon? It's madness." But others shook their heads in awe. Maybe he's the chosen one. Maybe the ship sees what we can't. Daniel heard the voices, but he didn't respond. He sat inside the warship, staring at the enemy fleet outside. His chest tightened with fear. "They'll kill me. They'll tear me apart," the warship whispered. "Only if you let them. I will protect you. But you must decide. Will you rule through destruction, or will you choose another way?" Before Daniel could answer, a message came through. The face of the Drakkar warlord filled the screen, tusks bared in anger. His voice thundered. "Janitor, step out of that ship. Hand it over, or we will rip you apart piece by piece." "That warship is mine!" Daniel's throat went dry. He had no crown, no army, no advisors, only a voice in his head and the ship beneath him. He swallowed hard and spoke, though his voice shook. "It's not yours. And it never will be, the warlord roared, and his fleet opened fire. Beams of energy streaked through space, crashing against the silent warship's shields. The station shook, alarms blaring. Civilians screamed, scattering for cover, but inside Daniel felt the ship's calm presence. Breathe, the warship told him. We will stand. Daniel raised his hand and the ship obeyed. Its cannons lit up brighter than suns and fired. Entire enemy vessels exploded in flames. The dock's glass rattled as people gasped. The janitor was not hiding. He was fighting. Still, Daniel held back. He could feel the ship's hunger for destruction, its power begging to be unleashed fully. But he remembered the second trial, the choice of mercy. He did not want to become a monster like the warlords outside. The battle raged on, but Daniel spared where he could, disabling ships instead of destroying them. It was harder, slower, but it was his choice. When the first fleet retreated, limping and broken, the galaxy had seen something it never expected. A janitor had faced an army and lived. But as Daniel leaned back, exhausted, the warship whispered again. More will come, stronger, crueler. This was only the beginning. Daniel's hands shook, but his eyes hardened. For the first time, he believed it. The galaxy would never be the same again, and neither would he. The first fleet had fallen back, but the galaxy did not give up so easily. Word of Daniel's victory spread across every star system. Some laughed in disbelief, others cursed in anger, and many trembled in fear. But for the rulers of the great empires, the message was clear. If the silent warship remained with a janitor, their power meant nothing. So they united. Rivals who had fought for centuries now formed uneasy alliances. Warlords, emperors, and merchant kings sent their fleets together, creating an armada unlike anything seen in generations. Thousands of warships, each bristling with weapons, gathered in the blackness of space. Their engines burned red, their guns glowed white, and their banners filled the skies around Zorath Station. Inside the silent warship, Daniel stood on the bridge staring at the endless storm of ships on the screen. His mouth went dry. He had never seen so many enemies, never felt so small. I can't fight them all, he whispered. The warship's voice echoed in his mind, calm but unbending. You are not alone. With me you could destroy them. Entire fleets will fall at your command. The galaxy would bow before you. The ship's words sent a chill through him. The power it offered was terrifying, beautiful and monstrous at the same time. For a moment he imagined it, striking down empires, crushing warlords, making the universe fear his name. No one would mock him again. No one would ignore him. But then he remembered the child on the bridge during his trial. He remembered choosing mercy even when it cost him pain. His chest tightened. If I kill them all, I'll be no better than the monsters they are. The ship's lights pulsed faintly. Then you must decide. Mercy is harder. Mercy is dangerous, but it is a choice only a true master can make. The fleets outside prepared their attack. Messages poured in, filled with threats. Surrender the ship, one commander barked. Hand it over or we will burn you alive. Another sneered. A janitor cannot stand against kings. Daniel gripped the controls. His voice was shaky but strong enough to carry. I won't surrender. And I won't let you take this ship. But I will not slaughter you either. If you want war, know this. You'll get a fight, but not the kind you expect. The enemy armada opened fire. Thousands of beams and missiles streaked toward him, enough to erase an entire planet. But the silent warship's shields flared like a burning sun, holding strong. The station trembled as light filled the skies. Daniel moved with the ship. He felt its energy rushing through his veins, guiding him. He dodged and weaved between enemy fire, striking back only at engines and weapons. Each shot he fired crippled a vessel instead of destroying it. Enemy ships drifted powerless, alive but harmless. The crowd on Zorath Station watched in awe. He's not killing them, someone whispered. He's sparing them. Many shook their heads in disbelief. To hold such power and not use it for total destruction, no ruler had ever shown such restraint. But mercy came at a price. The battle dragged on, draining the ship's energy. More fleets pressed in, sensing weakness. Alarms blared inside the warship. Daniel's hands shook as sweat dripped down his face. They'll overwhelm us, he gasped. I can't keep this up forever. The voice spoke, calm even as chaos roared outside. This is the test, Daniel. Do you take the easy path of destruction? Or do you stand by your choice, no matter the cost? Daniel's heart pounded. Every second he held back, he risked his own death. But every second he destroyed, he risked his soul. Then something unexpected happened. Among the crippled fleets, voices began to change. Some commanders looked at their ruined ships, at the mercy they had been shown, and hesitated. Soldiers who expected only death now saw life spared. Fear turned into confusion, and confusion into doubt. One by one, smaller ships broke away from the armada. Some fled, others powered down their weapons. Even warlords, hardened by years of blood, found themselves pausing. "Why doesn't he kill us?" they asked. "Why spare us when we would never spare him?" Daniel's chest heaved, but he pressed on. He disabled ship after ship, showing mercy again and again. Slowly the armada fractured. Not all left, many still burned with rage, but enough pulled back to weaken the storm. Finally, the remaining fleets retreated, their leaders humiliated and shaken. The silent warship stood alone, scarred but unbroken. The dock below erupted with cheers and cries. Some hailed him as a savior, others as a fool. But no one could deny what had happened. A janitor had faced the galaxy's greatest armada, and won not with destruction but with mercy. Daniel slumped back in the throne, exhausted. His body ached, his mind burned, but his heart was steady. He whispered, "I didn't do it the easy way, but I did it my way." The warship's voice rumbled with quiet pride. "You chose mercy when destruction would have been simpler. That is the mark of a true master. But know this, Daniel, the galaxy will not forget. Some will admire you. Others will hate you more than ever. This was only the battle of choice. The war to come will test you beyond anything you can imagine." Daniel closed his eyes, breathing deeply. He was still just a janitor in his heart, but the galaxy now saw something else, a master of mercy. A leader they never expected, and the silent warship's true destiny was only beginning to unfold. The galaxy was shaken. The greatest armada had come together to crush one man, and yet it had failed. The silent warship stood strong, its black hull glowing with golden light. Whole fleets had been broken, not by endless destruction, but by mercy. A janitor had spared those who came to kill him. It was an act no warlord, no emperor, no tyrant would ever have chosen. But mercy did not bring peace. It brought something more dangerous. On every world, people whispered Daniel's name. Some called him the Fool of Mercy. Others hailed him as the Starborn Master. But the rulers of the galaxy, humiliated and frightened, seethed with hatred. To them, his mercy was weakness. To them, his choice was an insult greater than defeat. They began plotting in silence, planning darker ways to bring him down. Inside the warship, Daniel sat slumped on the crystal throne, exhausted. His body ached, his hands trembled, but his heart was steady. He had faced trials, he had faced fleets, and still he was alive. He looked around the glowing bridge, the panels pulsing softly like a heartbeat. "I never asked for this," he whispered. "I just wanted to live my life quietly. Sweep floors. Stay invisible." The warship's voice rumbled gently, less thunder now, more like a teacher. "Greatness is never asked for. It is given. You were chosen because you carry what others do not. The courage to stand, the mercy to spare, the strength to endure." Daniel shook his head slowly. "But I'm no leader. I'm just me," the voice replied with calm certainty. "And that is why you are different. You do not hunger for power. You do not dream of thrones. That is why you may become more than a leader. You may become hope." Daniel's eyes lifted to the stars shown across the warship's screens. Endless systems glimmered before him, some ruled by tyrants, others crushed by war. People out there were suffering. Millions living as he once had, unseen, unheard, forgotten. His chest tightened. For the first time he felt the truth. This ship wasn't just a weapon. It was a chance to change everything. But as hope stirred in his heart, the warship's tone shifted. It grew deeper, darker, carrying a weight Daniel had never heard before. "You have faced kings. You have faced fleets. But they are not the true danger. There is something greater hidden beyond the stars." Daniel's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" The panels flickered, and suddenly the bridge filled with visions. He saw galaxies burning, entire civilizations wiped away. He saw shapes moving in the void, giant shadows with eyes like dying suns. They were not kings, not empires, not people. They were something older, something hungrier. Daniel's blood ran cold. "What are they?" The warship's voice trembled with a rare hint of fear. "They are the Devourers, the ones who ended my first masters. They come not for thrones, not for power, but for everything. Worlds, stars, life itself. They are beyond mercy." Daniel staggered back, gripping the throne. "And they're coming here?" Yes, the warship whispered. The galaxy fights over me, blind to the true war. You were chosen not to rule them, but to prepare them. If they do not unite, if they do not stand together, all will be ash. Daniel's chest heaved. His thoughts spun. He had survived trials. He had fought fleets. But this was different. This was a storm so big even the silent warship seemed afraid. For a moment he almost gave in to despair. I can't do this. I'm not ready. But then he remembered the trials. He remembered standing before shadows that could not be killed, yet shouting, I'm not afraid. He remembered the child he had saved, the fleets he had spared. He remembered that even when the galaxy mocked him, even when he was just a janitor, he had kept moving forward. He straightened slowly, his voice steady. Then I'll prepare them. I don't know how. I don't know if they'll listen. But if these devourers are coming, I won't run. I'll fight. We'll fight. The warship's lights blazed like suns, filling the chamber with golden fire. Then you are ready. You are no longer invisible, Daniel. You are the master of the warship. Outside, the silent warship rose from the docks, engines burning brighter than any star. The crowds below stared in awe and fear as the massive vessel left the station behind, heading into the endless dark. The galaxy's rulers watched from afar, their hatred sharpening, their plans twisting in the shadows. But beyond them, in the deeper void, something even darker stirred. The janitor had become a master. But the war he had fought so far was only the beginning. The true war, the war that would decide the fate of all life, was still to come.